Hello, friends. This is Michael from Hope Springs Water with a special conversation we had recently with Jim Palmer. Jim is the executive director of the Nica Team and a founding board member and close partner with Hope Springs Water. He was in Nicaragua this month to direct relief efforts following 2 hurricanes. We spoke with Jim in our Hope Springs Water offices after he returned and wanted to share those highlights with you. The hurricane came in and hit.
It hit
2 of them, actually.
It hit dead on, 13 days apart. First time in recorded history that we've had hurricanes that literally have hit within 30 miles of each other. And so for the first 200 miles, they tracked almost identically on top of each other. Then they split off in 2 different directions. But that 200 miles was over this region, this remote jungle region of the Atlantic Coast of Nicaragua.
What kind of damage did it do?
Wiped out pretty much probably the homes of 200,000 people.
I was going to say, from what you're telling me with the way they're subsistence farmers, basically, I can't imagine that we're talking about like great structures.
Oh no, they live in little wood buildings, little wood and thatched roof houses. In a village of 50 houses, half of them might have 10, half would still have thatched roof. Slowly they're moving away from the thatch to 10 as progress takes place. They're up on stilts because it gets you out of the wetness and the mosquitoes. They're just little, raw wood. You can kind of see through them at night.
Yeah.
See it like. Electricity is not available in most of these rural villages. They live along the rivers. The idea of people living like in the jungle, nobody lives in the jungle. You can't survive in the jungle. You live on a river in the jungle.
Sure.
Where you've whacked out and you beat the jungle back and keep it beat back. Otherwise it becomes, the rainforest is not like the Arboretum in Dallas. It's pretty uninhabitable. It's everything there bites you, sticks you, itches you, scratches you, and hurts you.
Yeah. My wife has a way of talking about how nature is much harsher in certain areas than others.
We have forgotten how harsh nature is because we've insulated ourselves against it, both cold and hot and unfriendly kind of things. So these are pretty tough people. They're just survivors, and it's amazing. Even when you go into a village where there's 50 homes and not a roof left on them, and half of them are on the ground, people are still surviving. We went down the river. The Principalca River is one of the regions that's probably one of the most remote and least developed areas. Very little government assistance out there. And we were there 2 weeks after the hurricane, and they'd not received any help at all. We were the first provisions that they got. And we were giving what we call family food packs to every family. We go in the village, we identify the little village chief, and then they have a guy named the syndicate. Syndicate is a group for us, but a syndicate is a name of a person who is the mover shaker. The chief is the decision maker. They call him a judge, actually, Huita. And he's kind of the older male, sometimes women. We're seeing more women Huitas now. But he's the arbitrator, decision maker. And then there's a younger person, male or female, who is a go-getter. So he reads and writes, can get on a boat, go to town, plead the village's case for something. And they will have a list of all of the head of households. And so we would get out of the boats, help the village people tote everything up to the little school or whatever had a roof on it. The schools tended to have more partial roofs because they've been built by the government through the years, and they're pretty pathetic, but they do.
It's still the strongest
building
in town.
Unless it's a church we built. It was one of our Baptist churches that we built. That's where people sheltered.
Right.
Because it's the strongest building in town. And so we'd get out, haul everything up, kids that come down and help it, and then they call out a name, and that person comes forward out of the crowd, and we hand them the family food packet. Family food packet has rice, beans, salt, coffee, sugar, mosquito net, a family-sized mosquito net, which a whole family can kind of get under. The Hope Springs water component of it is a gallon bucket, a gallon of Clorox, and a dropper. And that allows them to chlorinate water, see. And right now, water's a critical need up and down the river because any hand dug wells they have become contaminated. The river is pretty contaminated. You've got debris, you got dead animals, you got, just in the places where they were getting water is they'll try to find a little stream or a creek that runs into the river and get just above it and try to draw out of it. But still, they need chlorinated. And so, we found families that said, well, this is the first help that's come. We've not, some government people came by, they just were wanting to know how many people had lived here. And then they got in their boats and left. And so we get out, our pastors get out, we encourage people, we pray for the families, give everybody the packets, and then we spend about an hour just walking around the village. And we just take a little bit of time just to spend walking around the village, and then we get in the boats and go to the next village. And so we covered 6 villages in 4 days, and covered about 425 families. And then our pastors this week are down there. I talked to one of our pastors last night, and they've taken another whole set, and they've picked up where we stopped at the 7th village, and they're doing the next 10 villages downriver. So as you go down the river, you're going towards the coast, you're getting more damage. The other component of those villages that we're attending to is our well clean out program. And that's where, once again, Hope Springs Water is involved. Is where we're going through with the government saying, if you'll identify the hand dug wells, community wells, village wells, we will clean them out. So we're pumping them out, sticking an extension ladder down there, cleaning out pieces of sticks and rocks and forks that kids drop down there, and dead rats or dogs or whatever, cleaning all that out, all the debris out, putting a gallon of chlorine in it, letting it come back up, and then the next day come in pumping it all back out again, and then saying, okay, this water is fairly clean. Fairly.
Well, that's so because the chlorine will only go so far. The
It'll only
chlorine
go
in the
so
bucket
far.
will only go so far, so you have to get
Right.
back to a
As long
sustainable
as-
water
as-
source.
And many there.
So you're doing that too there.
Yeah, we have 2 of those projects. One in Puerto Cabezas, and then one in Rosita.
So how long do you expect this project, this whole combination of
6
projects?
months.
6
because
months.
what's going to happen now is called a relief and recovery project. The relief is trying to help people meet basic human needs right now.
Right, and that's
Feed people,
the bucket,
give
and
them some
the
shelter,
thing.
help them get pure water. The recovery is, how do we help people get back to at least where they were or better?
Right.
Okay, and so the recovery part has to do with housing. That's their biggest need, and replanting their
Yeah.
crops. Okay, so they've got to plant before the end of the month. If they don't plant by the 31st of December, they might as well not plant beans. But they can plant up to that point. So we're trying to get beans now back out into these villages that people can get beans back. They just planted, see? They planted
Yeah.
the week before the hurricane.
And everything got washed away.
Yeah. Some people planted, some people didn't.
Yeah.
So if we can get people to plant, then they've got hope in 2 months, 3 months to have a cash crop,
Sure.
which makes a big difference. Second is roofing material. People will scrap together enough lumber to build back something. What they can't do is they can't come up with cash for nails, and they can't come up with cash for corrugated tin sheeting.
Mm-hmm.
And so our project is this. Once the community decides who we're going to help, and I'll tell you about that in just a second, then we will provide them a hammer, a saw, and a tape measure, and 30 pounds of nails, 3 different sizes. When they get their 4 walls back up and the roofing structure, then we'll give them 16 sheets of tin to put on their roof. So it's tools, nails, and tin roofing. And so who gets that is, we will go to each village and we will say, okay, who are the people who are least likely on their own to be able to rebuild?
So you're going
Elderly.
back to the judge and the
Right,
syndicate.
exactly, you got it. The elderly, the handicapped, single moms, those kind of people. We've had experience with this board. After Hurricane Felix, we did it on the northern part there, and I was leery. I thought, oh, it's going to be the guy's brother-in-law, the syndicate's cousin. No, it was amazing. We did 5 or 6 houses in each village. It was amazing. I mean, they had 2 little old blind grandmothers raising 3 kids, a single mom with 2 or 3 kids, a handicapped guy, an elderly couple. I mean, they really found the people who needed it. And so we're trusting that's going to happen again. So right now, they're pulling those censuses together, and our pastors will go down the river Monday or Tuesday of next week before Christmas and try to begin to get those names. And that what we've done, we've assigned every village based on the size of the village, 5, 6, 8, 2, 3, whatever. And they come up with who those people are, and those are the people that will help.
What's it like doing this kind of work at Christmas?
It's tough. It's tough. It's tough because they don't have much Christmas. And it's tough because we're all busy doing other stuff. It's hard to keep focused on. Like right now, I gotta find beans. And yet, even in Managua, the capital city, it's getting Christmas time and they're kind of shutting down things. Government practically shuts down today or tomorrow and won't open back up until the 1st or 2nd.
Sure.
I mean, these Latin American governments are down the whole 2 weeks of Christmas, New Year's. So I'm pushing right now to try to find beans to get back out to these people. So it's just difficult.
So if someone reads whatever it is we end up putting out and they want to help, what can they do?
2 ways. Well, one way, give money. They can't give beans. They can't give corrugated tin sheeting. They can't give nails. We don't want their old hammers, but we can buy all that in Managua with money.
Yeah, I got
Our website is nicateam.org, and on it will say there's a little thing about the hurricane, and it tells about what we're doing. There's recent stories. I've got to update it today, and then how to donate, where to send money, and
Perfect.
we can do credit card or check or however you want to do it. I can give you a couple of dollar figures too, if people want to do that.
Sure.
A family food package is $30. To put a roof on a house is $300.
It's amazing when you hear these numbers and
Yeah.
you think about what we spend at Christmas and the things that we do.
Sure.
Like what you take
And
your
I-
family out to dinner
Yeah.
and how much you spend.
And I say to people, Mike, I say, look, don't not do what you do with your family. But you know what? Honor your family by doing something for somebody else too. You can do that. Everybody can do that. Yeah.